This morning we host a conversation with one of what's regarded as the most prominent voices in American evangelical politics. Pastor Mark Burns, once named by Time magazine as U.S. President Donald Trump's top pastor and a trusted confidant of the U.S. president, is here in South Africa not to deliver a sermon, but on a fact-finding mission. Amid growing international debate over so-called white genocide claims and fears around farm murders, Burns has met with white farmers, former apartheid leaders and community voices on the ground. What did he find, and what will his report back be? Could his message from South Africa challenge one of the MAGA movement's most sensitive narratives? He joins me now. Thank you so much for being with us and making time. I know you're a busy man.
So honored to be here, Ahmad.
It's a pleasure to have you. So why did you personally decide to come to South Africa?
Well, I mean, South Africa, I think, is a jewel of the African continent. But obviously, the elephant that's in the room, the biggest question is there white genocide happening in South Africa? Of course, thanks to the Concordia Forum and Dr. Ahmed and Dr. Joseph for inviting me to come for an interfaith dialogue, as I was able to meet with Muslim leaders, Jewish leaders, Christian leaders, and here on your beautiful continent. And again, with the ideal to have inner peace amongst each other as people of faith. But obviously, to see firsthand, again, is there a white genocide happening in South Africa? Are white farmers being targeted simply for the color of their skin? Is their land being stripped away from them, and are their rights being challenged?
So the obvious question is, well, what did you find?
Well, again, you can't speak to former apartheid leaders who are white Afrikaner farmers or representatives of farmers, and they themselves are saying that they were shocked that this was a narrative that was being formulated in the United States of America. They was absolutely thrown off that, of course, there is no white genocide taking place in South Africa. Of course, white farmers are not being targeted and their land is not being stripped away. And so this was coming from their own narrative and from their own point of view.
So, as a man who has Trump's ear, and you can update us if that situation has changed in any way, He's
still the greatest president in the entire United States of America, and I believe the entire world.
All right, we'll circle back to that, to that view that you hold of him. But we also have, from a South African perspective, and you see this, nationally expressed frustration that this is a narrative, a dogma that he holds on to, even in the face of evidence. You found something that's different to the narrative that he is holding on to. How do you take this message back, and what prospects do you think there are of changing his mind?
Well, listen, the president is the most powerful man in the world, and he has his own opinion. Nobody can make him believe what he wants to believe. But for me, this is about what's right. Right is right, wrong is wrong. That's the message that I took from Ukraine when I visited there. That was the message that I'm going to take back to the United States of America. And the president, again, the president desires peace. The conversation between President Ramaphosa and President Trump was a conversation I think needed to happen because of that Oval Office meeting. Whether one believe it is right or wrong, the president brought up some points that I think has now brought it to the forefront of South African politics. For instance, there is no white genocide, but there is a high crime rate that is taking place. Just yesterday, again, receiving information from white former apartheid leaders who also represent white farmers are giving me the actual stats. 5,200 murders just in the last quarter of 2025. And out of the 5,200+ murders that has taken place, 12 of them were related to farmers. And out of the 12, only 3 of them were white. And so clearly there is not a white genocide or a targeted attack on white farmers. But however, there is a crime problem. And because of the conversation that President Trump had and some of the points that he brought up, it is bringing to the forefront a crime problem that must be addressed in South Africa. And so that's a good thing.
Pastor Burns, when are you planning to talk to U.S. President Donald Trump and share with him what you've shared with us now based on these conversations? And it would be lovely for you to name some of the people, again, I think you named them initially, of who you've been talking to that have really changed your mind, essentially, or given you a more clear and honest picture what's happening in South Africa?
Well, again, I'm always in constant communication with the White House. I don't represent the United States government officially, but I have the awesome blessing to be a friend of President Donald Trump before he even announced that he was running for president. And my loyalty to him and the United States of America is unshakable. He represents exactly what America needs right now. And my goal is that the 31% tariff that the president has recently put, was about to go into effect on South African goods, be changed. My prayer is that the human rights concerns that the president has, because of some of your white South Africans who did leave South Africa and did come to America, what their false claims. And I'm hoping that you all are communicating with those people and asking them, why in the world did they do what they did, when in reality there isn't white genocide that is happening in South Africa. And the song Kill the Boer, I mean, it is a song that has a historical evidence. It has historical place. Me being a black man, proud black man from the United States of America, understand the significance of the struggle and why that song played an important part. But it is a song that does not have place today, because it creates more and more division, more than unity. And that's what the president wants. You want to make sure that if an American investor comes to South Africa, and that's the goal, to have more and more investors to come to your beautiful nation, that their investments are not being taken advantage of. There's 601 United States American companies that are here investing in South Africa. And so that's the message that the president wants to get across, and that's the message that that we want to portray.
I want to go back to the Kill the Boer statement,
yes.
and we've seen the leader of the EFF, whose leader, Julius Malema, has doubled down on his right to utter those words. As a man of the cloth, so to speak, as a Bible man, what
Yes.
would you say to him directly around that decision to continue to going on with that message?
Well, I don't know what his faith is, but if he was a Christian or just a person of faith in general, that's one of the things that the Concordia Forum has done so well, is bringing people of faith, regardless of where your background is. There's one common ground that all people of faith have, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, whether you're Jew, is peace and the respect for our fellow man. Jesus said this: the greatest commandment is to love your God love your God with all your heart and all your mind. And then he said the second greatest of this is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. My message to Mr. Julius would be this: if eating meat in front of your fellow man offends them, then you don't eat meat. That song is offending a lot of people. It is creating a sense of fear. It is creating a sense of division. And howbeit it has a very important part of the struggle, of the history of removing apartheid, it does not have a place today.
Let's circle back then to the influence you might have on US President Donald Trump. Would we then, after you go back, I mean, A, are you planning on meeting him, sharing with him your observations? And B, are we then likely to hear him say that he has changed his mind?
Well, I'm going to say this. I can tell you, I have the, again, awesome opportunity to tell the world about the Lord Jesus Christ. But also, I have the opportunity to tell the world that we do have in the United States of America the greatest president in our lifetime. I'm already in conversation with the White House. They're actually looking forward to seeing this interview, and they're asking for these clips. The president is asking for to see what is being said. And I, again, don't represent the United States of America government officially, but I can tell you people do listen to what I have to say, and that I am happy to report back to the world that, thank God, there is no white genocide that is happening here in South Africa. And again, the more serious matters is that there's there are criminal elements that are targeting farmers. Majority black farmers are being killed. People in general, majority are black, are being killed. And so my prayer is that President Ramaphosa would take that meeting in the Oval Office back to South Africa, and to raise up the law enforcement community to do what President Trump has done in the United States of America. And I'm sure the brave men and women that wear the badge here in South Africa will be so happy to have even greater resources to come towards to them so that they could do their job more effectively and keep the people safe. But also, remember, a goal is coming to an end. That would be not good for trade. We want to make sure that these human rights concerns are put to bed, and I believe they will be once I get back.
I'd be really interested to see that meeting when you go back in the Oval Office. I wonder if it'll, sort of echo what President Cyril Ramaphosa endured there with the wheeling in of the television and you playing our interview for President Trump. That's just on a lighter note. But on a serious note, sure. As you say, perception does influence sentiment. Sentiment does influence decisions that people make around whether they want to invest in our country. And of course, the line that international statesmen like Donald Trump hold on to. When you saw the 49, South Africans come to America, taking up this refugee status, what did you think? And what did you preach a sermon on that? What were your perceptions?
Well, again, like most people around the world who saw that and witnessed that, I believe there may be truth to the statement. If you're having 49 white South Afrikaners who have left and believe that they are receiving emergency acceptance and refugee status into the United States of America, that there may be some legitimacy to their claim. My message would be back to the white South Afrikaners here in South Africa to find out why they actually did that. What is their real motives? Who are these people? Why are they claiming such things that are happening when they themselves, who are living here in South Africa, and are white, and some of them were former members. Well, we already know
these are not a mass group of farmers who left their lands in the country and went overseas.
So the point for me, that would be what I would do. But again, I believe, like most people, that there must be white genocide happening here in South Africa, and that is wrong, because wrong is wrong. Whether they're black, whether they're white, whether they're colored, whether they're African or Asian, whether they're Jew, Muslim, Christian, whatever their background is, they have a right to be free. That's part of my message. I support what is right and not what is popular.
You worked with Trump a long time. I mean, it's more than a decade now, if my mathematics is accurate, of being in his space, being a man whose attention you have. What are your observations? I mean, to a lot of people, he remains enigmatic. We look at some of what he says. It sounds erratic to us. It sounds like he's a person who might be impressionable in a way, from the perspective of attributing to Elon Musk this idea and this narrative that Trump had held onto and has held onto around a white genocide. Do you believe that he's susceptible to people around him? What are your observations about how he makes his decisions and what it takes to change his mind?
The president is no fool. The president is no pushover. The president is a man's man. He makes decisions based off of the information that's received to him. Now, to me, it is clear that he's received erroneous information, because I'm actually here in South Africa. But again, if I was in the president's shoes, I would have said the same thing. Whether I'm a black man or white man, I would have said the same thing. If 49 white South Africans showed up at my doorstep claiming that they are running from South Africa because they are in fear of their life, then I would have said the very same thing. I would have came to the same conclusion.
That. It's his perspective that catalyzed that.
Well, no, I think what catalyzed that was the 49 white South Afrikaners that showed up at our doorsteps claiming that they are being killed by black people here in South Africa.
No,
and
his
their
white
lands have been
genocide
stolen.
narrative preceded that.
Well, let me say this. The white genocide narrative didn't start with President Trump. Let's be clear. This is a narrative that's been coming from out of South Africa for a long time. So let's just be clear. This wasn't something that just started with President Trump. This is something that's been coming out of the community and social media prior to President Trump ever becoming president.
Yeah, but it's what he took on prior to the arrival. I mean, it was his granting of refugee status that brought these people to your shores.
Well, that was because of the information that was given to him.
Do you think that the people who came...
Well, let me just say this.
Do you think the people who came to America...
You got to be very clear that unless you are here like I am, in South Africa, then you can only go based off what you see. You just gave a wrong, erroneous perception of President Trump because you never met him. You've never been in the room with them. You only have seen what he's done on television, some short clips. Now, what we saw was Julius Malema on television saying, "We will take their lands." This is what we saw. Before he speak, we saw him saying, we will take, this is what South Africans do. We take people's land. It is our right. It is our land. He is screaming this from a microphone. And the only thing, and we see thousands of black South Africans shouting, yes, take their lands. This is what we do. And then you hear the song, Kill the Boer. The Boer represents the white South Afrikaner, more properly the white South Afrikaner farmer. And so when you're hearing these messages, I would have done the same thing. I would have granted those 49 white South Africans a refugee status in the United States of America too. Clearly, I believe that someone manipulated information. Clearly, it was a lie because this is no white genocide that's happening in South Africa.
Again, we're having a collegiate conversation.
Yeah.
It's not a...
and please forgive me because I'm a preacher. I get excited about everything.
It's not Sunday, it's Friday.
That's why the president calls me his pit bull, because I'm a pit bull and I believe what I believe.
But it's not Sunday, it's Friday. So.
Oh, it's Sunday all the time in heaven, thank God.
But I want to say that the reason I said it in that chronology was, it was based on, as you say, this information that you now admit or concede was erroneous, that fueled President Trump's perspective on the concept of a white genocide in South Africa, which then prompted him to allow and to create this invitation for refugee status in your country, which then led to the 49 coming over. That was the chronology I was trying to establish from the beginning.
Yes.
I hear what you're saying from an outsider's perspective. If you see these images together, you land up with a particular perception.
Yes.
So would you then say, having been here, that those emissaries that came from South Africa, the AfriForums and the Solidarities who were pushing this concept of a white genocide in South Africa or an intent to genocide, that they have done incredible damage to the image and reputation of South Africa on this matter, and they've lied to your president. Absolutely,
100%. Again, I'm speaking. It'd have been different if I was speaking to a room full of black South Africans who were telling me their narrative. We're not killing white people in your country. And so it'd have been different if that was the conversation. Because then at that point, I'm thinking, well, maybe South Africa's trying to feed a narrative to support what they're trying to show, that this is that black people are not killing white people or targeting white people or stealing their lands. But I've only spoken to, for the majority, white South Afrikaners, white farmers, farmer members of the apartheid movement. And so these are the people that I've been speaking to. These are the business leaders, white business leaders. Met a group of leaders yesterday who represent 300,000 jobs in your country. And yet they, out of their own mouth, are saying this, they were shocked. These people, they believe, took advantage of the opportunity. They could be suffering on their farm. They may not doing well on their farm. And so they manipulated a lie to come to the United States of America. That's out of their mouths. Again, these are white South Afrikaners. And so because I'm hearing the report and the testimony from them, I am more led to believe that these people who did go to America have falsely lied and have falsely gave information for whatever their reason. And for me, my desire is to bring unification to both our nations. My goal is to make sure that the Julius Malemas of this nation and the young people that is coming behind them do not get the majority. And that can happen if your economy is crashing. That will happen if more and more of them do not have jobs. The reality of it is you do have a crime problem here in this nation. And that is because of the high unemployment rate in your nation. That's why you have to eliminate these so-called human rights violations or human rights concerns that President Trump most definitely had a right to have. Not because he himself is manipulated, but because your white South Afrikaners showed up begging, screaming, hollering, saying that they are being targeted, they are being killed, their lands are being stolen. And they showed up and presented the evidence of Julius and others talking about kill the Boer, take their lands.
Pastor Burns, given everything that you've learned about South Africa, these conversations that you have, how egregious would you say that act was on behalf of those people?
Well, horrible. I mean, look where we are. I mean, right now, AGOA is about to run out. The trade is about to expire. You may not even be eligible for the AGOA benefits. That hurts the economy of South Africans. That creates more and more Julius Malemas to rise up and this ideal of African nationalism is a danger. It's a danger to Christians. It's a danger to Muslims. It's a danger to Jews. It's a danger to white South Africans. When you say
African nationalism, just define that for me.
Well, what I mean is the ideal that all foreigners in their mind should be exported out of the nation. That's what's happening right now in Israel and Palestine. Right? Many believe in the Israeli community that all the Palestinians in their mind or foreigners on their land should be displaced, should be removed, should go somewhere else. Well, to my understanding, the white Afrikaners who've been here for generations and generations, this is their home. This is their land. They are South Africa. They are a part of the one body, the rainbow tribe that is in this beautiful nation. But there are others who may believe that this should be just all black, all.
Do you want to meet Malema?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think so. And the reason is because, to my understanding, he has little, the fact that we're talking about him is not even good because, that's spewing hate. And I don't desire to, unless he wants to come and apologize, unless he wants to come and say, you know what, Pastor, you're right. Me singing that song is hurting my white brothers and sisters here in my beautiful nation. Me singing that song, even though it is important and it has historical evidence, yes, Mandela, whom the President Trump spoke highly of, has highly great respect for, spoke about him twice, did sing that song. Even your Constitution, I think, voted it that it was his legal right to sing that song. It's still causing division in our nation, on a nation that is still pretty new from apartheid rule. Our goal, like Nelson Mandela's dream, is that we all be one people and one voice. And
all right, well, South Africa's got a lot of work to do in closing systemic gaps. We are the most unequal society in the world by some accounts, by credible accounts. And so there's a lot of work that needs to be done, which leaves the vast black majority on the fringes of society and outside the realm of opportunity. In closing, though, because we are running out of time, do you think, again, back to the question, will Trump change his mind on this?
Well, I can't speak for the president.
Do you think that he has, as you say, you know his character well, you've counseled him well on many occasions, would he be able to admit if he's made a mistake?
Let me tell you what I think the president would do, and this is my opinion. I can't speak for the president. My goal is that the president come to G20 here in South Africa. My goal is that the tariff wars, and it's not so much a tariff wars, but that there be good opportunities for both nations to exceed economically. I agree with you. These white South Afrikaners who I met with made it very clear. There's a disproportion of wealth, even in their own nation. The fact is that 71% of the managers in corporate South Africa are white male. And so that's a completely disproportionate of leadership. There should be more blended. 71% of the leadership in corporate America is still white male. And of course, the disproportion of economics. Yes, there's been a political revolution of equality that took place with Nelson Mandela and the removal of apartheid. But there has yet in South Africa to be an economic revolution of equality.
You and Julius Malema agree more than you disagree, by the way.
I'm sure we do. But again, my point is this. I goes back to for instance, the moment that you start attacking somebody else violently, that can be interpreted even as violent movement, would be eliminating everything that you stated for.
All right.
I'm sure we may agree, but I don't agree in how he desires to sing that song that creates more division than unity.
Well, thanks for bringing Sunday to us on a Friday. Pastor Mark Burns, thank you for talking to us. Appreciate your time.
It is important. I want to say this before you go, though, also. There's one important message before we leave. BRICS is very important, right? And that is something that I would most definitely, ask President Ramaphosa to really think about. BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. This notion of creating a currency that devaluates the American dollar is not good. It's not good with that ideal or that political stance. So hopefully, President will think about pulling South Africa from BRICS. If it's about trading with those nations, that's great. If it's about devaluating the American dollar, that is no good.
Oh, now you've left us on a little bit of a cliffhanger. I would have loved to have come back and had a conversation on that, which is complex in and of itself. But thanks for stopping by. I appreciate your time, Pastor Mark Burns, faith leader and political power broker, known ally and advisor to U.S. President Donald Trump. our guest this morning. It's the end of Newsfeed AM. Thank you so much for being with us. I know that it has been a day of tragedy for many families across the country, and of course we'll continue to watch those breakthroughs in the murder of Olerato Mongale, and of course updates on the funeral service taking place on Sunday. Daytime Updates is up next. Michelle Craig is already in place. Have an amazing day and an amazing weekend. See you on Monday.